Gotta do a little work on Voice Box. No camera today. Not feeling it. Okay. So I thought about. Oh God, I hate that I cannot open this. I wish I could just. Can I open the folder? Huh. Uh. Oh shit. Okay, here we go. All right, that works. All right, so we're gonna have. I've been thinking about selections because half of this experience, if not most of it, actually, the whole thing is driven by, interactions in this little virtual environment. So I wanted a system that not only works for mouse and keyboard like I'm working now. I want something that's going to work for um, uh, like controller, and something that's good for accessibility. So the best way to do that is to have a list. Um, and you might be thinking, wouldn't like something else be a little better, like if we had some kind of like graph network? The problem with doing it that way is that let's say you've got a couple of nodes here. Um, let's fill those out. Let's say you got a few nodes in your little network, and maybe they're in a grid, maybe they're not. In this case, they won't be, right? So there's kind of different paths you can take. Well, here's the fun thing about that. Let's say going to the right took me to the right. Um, whoops. Then you would go this way, yeah? When you hit right on your controller. But where do you go after you hit right again? Do you go here? Do you go here? Do you go back here? If you're using accessibility, how do you know how to get to this node? From here, or from here, or from here. Because if the connections themselves like don't match up, or if it is like in this kind of loosely jumbled together network of stuff where, moving around, like everything's kind of connected, but it's, connected in a weird way, and it's a 3D environment. So like you think, how do I get to this node from here? You go to the right, you go up. Yeah, but if I can't see, how the hell am I going to know that? So a better system of doing things is to put everything in one array, and you iterate through that whole array. And you keep the order the whole time. I think it might be okay to change it briefly, like if things move out of order. Wow, it's okay to change the order if things move out of order. That didn't make sense. What do I actually mean when I say that? All right, so let's make a big old square and start fresh. All right. Whoop. So, in our little game, we're going to have some devices. And these devices are going to be roughly kind of grouped, somewhat linearly. And we want to move through the whole group from what? Oh, right. We want to move through the whole group from left to right. And inside of these devices, we also, they'll have their own little buttons. So they'll have, stuff to interact with. And we just want to make sure that for every little thing there is to interact with, that we also maintain some sort of consistent order, right? So the order is just left to right, top to bottom. So whenever we move through, and I'm still wondering whether or not like you can tab into devices. I think we will. So I think how it'll work is like if all these are put together, right, then you're going to start here. Say 1. And then we'll start probably down here. I don't know. Technically, we should probably start here, actually. So, like, you know, this is A, and this is B, and this is C. And then we get to this one. And this one's 2, and I don't know. Maybe there's, like, 1 button for the whole thing. But there it is. And that's button A. Whoops. Anyway. These are all going to have like a layout that will remain consistent even if the orientation changes. So if like a whole box were to like, I don't know if I can rotate this. Yeah. Even if it rotates, we want to keep the orientation consistently because if someone's interacting, again, if they can't see it, the rotation is irrelevant to them. If you can see it, you can watch and know which one you're selecting. But the point is that when they maintain a consistent order, even if there are like subsets, those subsets still have to have good order because 1, you get used to where things are, but 2, again, if there's one array for everything, you are guaranteed to find the thing you're looking for. If you can't find it, either, I have mistakenly not added it, or it's not there. It's not available at all. So a user needs to be able to get to everything. Having some kind of graph network is fine if you can see. But of course, if we're thinking about accessibility, how does someone know where they're going to navigate the graph if they can't see or if they have no way of sensing or, understanding the whole graph? If you have a grid and you tell people where they are in grid coordinates, there's at least a way to determine where you are and where you want to go and how you could get there. But when you have kind of a loose network, you really just, there isn't a great way of doing that. And even if you had a great way, it would be something that probably took a lot of time to learn. So instead of that, I'm just going to keep it simple whoops. There we go. Instead, everything will be in one list. So once again, A and B. Left to right, top to bottom. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's the order we go in. Now let's just say I'm shuffling some stuff around. I don't know, and I move 3 over here. I really need to make sure that my fill space. Yeah, I move 3 over here, and then I move 4 over here. Okay, in this instance, I think it would be reasonable to rename like 4 to 3 and 3 to 4. I think that would be okay. Because again, if you're looping through, if you see it, then you probably expect it to go here. If you don't see it, then I probably just have to make sure there's some kind of alert to make sure. But also, if you can't see it, you probably aren't going to want to move things around, and it might not be a good user interface for you to do so. Maybe people will want to, but again, I don't know. I feel like allowing them to tab through devices and then into devices. Like if there's a key, like if they hold shift, it will only tab like at the device level so they can get to the device they want. And then having them select tab will just move through everything, So you start at 1, you go A, B, C, and then you hit tab again. From 1C, you go to 2A. Tab again, 3A, and then 3B. 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, and then you come right back around to 1A. So again, you've got one array you go through, and that'll make sure we get everything. Um, and I don't know what I'm going to call this. This is more just talking about, how do we call this? Um, these aren't really notes. This is more like a general sketch. But my point is, um, selections are important. Our user interface is extremely important. So it's going to be very close to the top of our game. The only thing higher than this will be something called a stage, which will be like lighting, floors, more environmental stuff. And then beyond that, we'll just have like our actual main game. So our main game will probably load in stages. It'll have the UI and stuff. As for this is going to really be above everything that's like tactile or tangible, at least in terms of like our interactive environment. Sorry, I always pause to adjust my glasses. Anyway, yeah, so that's that. Wires are going to connect these devices. It's very important. Cubes carry audio data. Wire just connects the devices. So if you have a microphone, you can connect that to the speakers. But you can also have like different things you connect to the speakers. And I wanted that to also be kind of part of it. As we move more into the digital era, everything becomes more abstracted. But I wanted to have something, again, that felt like it was kind of playing around, and that kind of tactility, that moving wires and moving blocks and pressing buttons. Even though it is virtual, I still think it can be fun in its own way. And that's really the experience I was going for. So our devices will have ports for input and output. That's roughly what they'll do. I don't know if there'll be like another type of port, or I don't know if they might output like two different, something. We'll see. It'd be neat if I added more devices as the game development went on or something, but I'm trying to think in really small terms right now. Interactables are like buttons, sliders, things on the device that are part of the device. Obviously, technically everything is an interactable. It's not really a great name, but I really don't know what to call it. Because button doesn't cover everything, and then holders, of course, which hold the cubes. We're also going to have something called a selector. The selector will be the one that stores like what has focus, and like if we move the mouse over something, then we should have a signal that eventually gets goes to the selection system, and then its selector is called, so that like we handle a focus change for like mouse and stuff like that. Once we have something focused, everything that is focusable should be selectable. So we'll have some kind of select functionality, and that should be able to fire whenever we like sense any kind of select input. We'll be able to know what fires. Of course, once we select, we'll need to, hopefully if we connect that item and run select, it'll run on that device for that device, and we don't have to send any more signals. We will need to send signals for like selection chain. Actually, no, we do, because let's say we grab a wire. You pick up a wire and you go to plug it in somewhere. Letting go is a selection change. You're technically unselecting. Whether it's a toggle, like a hold, select hold, or like a click select. What is it? Click hold, or like, click to select and click to deselect kind of interaction. I might toggle that, but like, again, that's something where it would need to go to the top level, and we need to see what it is that is being selected, and then like, okay, what's focused on, or what, like, there's a lot of probably checks and stuff to cover, and then what we do will be determined by what we're holding and what we're interacting with. But a lot of those calls will be handled in the selection system, so it's actually going to handle all these interactions. The selector itself is really just a place to contain, like, if we use mouse or if we use controller or for anything else, like, that's where we want the selector to kind of be in. Obviously, if we hover over a cube, then like it should emit a signal that says someone focused on me. Same with like the holder. We do that kind of. But right now, cube and holder are like connected with the spawner, and holder like holds the spawn. I don't like how it's set up. It's just kind of like really messy, and I feel like it's going to easily become like a real nightmare. So I wanted to like kind of redo how this works. And I wanted to do that now. The second thing I wanted to work on a little bit, if I have time, is a little more of this, just to test this functionality of having a device that has a button, and when we click it, it will, record. Like, I want to start with the mic. The mic and speakers. To me, I think that's most fundamental. But again, before we do that, I want to make sure this is connected properly. I don't know if I'm going to set up the wires today, but I wanted to include them because I know they're going to be very pivotal. They're going to be very important. Something else we're probably going to have to include at this level is probably the instructions. So when someone plays, it's not going to have levels and they're not going to be pop-ups. I want it to just be like a suggestion system of like, you have something, and then it's going to tell the user like, hey, you should try to click on this button. Or like if there's a wire, it's like you should, like if it's visual, you'll see a wire glow and then a port that it could connect to glow. And so it's telling you, it's like, hey, these things are paired. You should put them together, right? Another thing I might try to do is, and again, I have to be careful with accessibility. I do want this to be available for as many people as possible. And you can't, if someone's visually impaired, you can't use visual signals. Well, you can, but you also have to have like an audio signal, of course. So anyway, that whole instruction system that kind of guides people on how to use stuff and interact with it, I want that to be also at this selection system level. And it's just going to be something that just like, because it's probably going to have access to a lot of things, just so it can be like, hey, here's a little hint, like you have a device that has buttons or well, again, interactables. It has ports, it has holders. So all of these things need some kind of hint that says like, hey, suggest this, and it'll just like have a list of things to suggest. And so once you interact with that thing, then you check off an item in that list. So it'll suggest these things, and once they're interacted with, that again pops up here in some way. And so we'll just need to make sure we check the suggestion system. Suggester, I don't know, suggester. But you get what I mean. Like, you'll have some other system managing that. And that way we can have our game, and when it's time to do stuff that's like more tutorial-like, we'll have a separate system we can connect to on this level. It'll also be good for a demo, because I still think the demo should try to help And the demo will probably stop like the first device is going to be a mic. The second one will be speakers and with some wires. So you just connect the mic to speakers and then it's like cool, you can, you can hear yourself. Those might be introduced all together. We'll see. Then what I want to do is introduce a little block. It's just like a recorder. So you connect that to the mic and then you record into it. And I think that one will also have a connection. Actually, did I draw that? I think I did. Just a moment. Okay, so the sound stage is gonna have, this is like the main cuber. That's a great name. I guess. The sound stage is gonna have a mic. We're gonna have a speaker. We're gonna have a mixer. The mixer is like, this is like where the demo would end, frankly. If you want to download your music or upload different audio files, I feel like I want to be able to add that afterwards. I feel like I'd be like, okay, buy the game. I think that's fair. Merger would just be like, you've got like a bunch of tracks you want to merge into one thing. So my idea there was you'd like stuff them down like you would in a Pringles can or something, and it would just go and go and go, and then you hit merge, and then like boop, one would pop up. But as you can see, like this is a lot of little things that are going to be interacted with and plugged into and all kinds of stuff. So like, again, interactions. So like this is huge. This is like, if this system is sloppy at all, or like this needs to work. This is like our bread and butter. This is, obviously we're using Godot, but like this is our engine within an engine, if you will. This selection system is like, it's got to run real smooth and it's got to work really well. Because once we start really building stuff and adding stuff, I want to be able to add devices, and like the only difficulty I have is getting the device to do its particular functionality with whatever audio data it's reading. I do not want to get to the point where I'm adding another device or two and it's like, oh, but I can't, because instead of everything architected and organized, everything becomes this spaghetti nightmare. Because I'll show you what happens. I've experienced this a lot. I have lots of little projects because I'm full of ideas. And here's the problem that I always get into is that I'm thinking, oh, I've got this neat thing. And wouldn't it be fun if there's some of this too? And some of these things would also be nice. And boy, that's cool. So this is going to interact with this, and they both should do something here. But, I got to add one of these. And I got to add a couple of those. And these need to talk to this and this. And they're kind of linked, but kind of loosely linked. And, and this actually would... Well, and maybe I'll make another container for this. But then now, do these connections here go to this, or does this talks to the container, and the container talks to this, and now this has to go, and then we'll group these actually, and we can talk to this to the container. But now we need another, even bigger layer of container for all of these things. And look at that spaghetti fucking nightmare we've created. This is the problem that I've gotten into so many times, and I get burnt out completely because I don't have a plan. And then I add more stuff, and then it's like, hey, I've got a cool idea. How about you just add one of these? And it's like, yeah, but where? Where does it go? How does it connect? And then you're thinking about how you can, and it's just like, it really does feel like you have like tangled headphones, right? Or wires, but you've got like 200 wires tangled together. Or imagine if your hair is this tangled together. At some point, you're like, I would rather just shave it off and restart from scratch, right? So let's not get to that point with this project. Let's try to stay organized and focus ahead. Like, I've already created, like we created a bit of a demo and we're already having to replan. But again, before I was just trying to see how I could get things to interact directly. And now I've thought about it more and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What will I eventually need? I will need to have everything interact. I will want to think about, like, I haven't even thought about UI. So how does that work in? Is the UI, like the UI is going to be in its own thing? Like you hit pause, you pause the game, the UI will come in. Probably, like, are we going to use the same selectors, have a new selection system for just UI elements? That seems like it would be good. But again, like I haven't even thinking about that because I've just been thinking about this. And so it's like, again, I'm going to put a little work towards this because I think it's important. But you can see how without planning, you end up with a spaghetti nightmare. Now, too much planning, and you've kind of gotten yourself into this over-engineered abstraction void, this like limbo space where you're just floating around, but you never really arrive. You never land on your feet. You never really get going anywhere. It's like floating around in microgravity. It's fun and weightless and carefree, but like you can't really get anywhere. Eventually, you gotta get your feet on the ground and just go. So we've done some planning. I did this mostly last night. You didn't do anything. You're watching. You don't do anything. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I did some planning, and this is the idea I'm going with. So I wrote it down. I connected an image. I'm really trying to keep documentation up to date. I'm still not keeping a devlog. I hate it. I think there's another question I had. Yeah, is like where the connections handled. I think they should be handled, frankly. Are handled at this level, at that top level. I don't even want to start today. It's kind of late in the evening, actually, and I've had a bit of a day. On the personal end of things. Hello. Oh, and my cat is here. My cat. What is that, litter? Oh my God, you got litter on my desk. Sweetheart, say hello. My cats meow so much until it's time to. You say anything? I don't know if you can. Can you hear that? Oh, your little nose. You got a little stuffy nose. Poor baby. Okay, next time though, can you get the litter off your feet before you step on my desk? I'd greatly appreciate that. Anyway, it's been one of those days. Long sighs. What am I doing? Yeah, okay. Let's see here. Let's test out actually just the basic device interaction, because even when we reorganize the interactions, we can kind of get this going. So let's see here. We don't have a model for anything just yet, but I want to let's add a button. And the easiest way to do this is to create a static body. And that's going to need we're going to create a mesh instance. And you're probably thinking, why are you making a mesh? Why aren't you making something else? Well, buckaroo, I'll tell you why. You heard of the High Elves? We got that. And material. What color should this be? I also want to work on a color palette. I'm going to need to get that done because I've never been a person for colors because I'm colorblind, but I do recognize its importance. Hell, especially if you're colorblind, because then you're like, I don't fucking know what the hell's going on. So, save this as, button material. Sure. And then this is fun. You say create a collision shape. And I do it sibling tri-mesh. I think there's other settings, but they don't always work. And maybe they're not always supposed to. I don't know. But anyway, here we go. Now, the only reason you see this, like, what is it called? Z layering or whatever, is that I have the debug. No, I don't. Well, I could. Oh, we haven't saved this thing. It's still called a node. Okay. We're going to call this a button. 3D. And let me think here. I think I'm going to keep it in here for now. As these devices get built, they're probably each going to have their own like version of this. And I'll probably store that in the devices because that's kind of where they belong, more or less. There's a child screaming, and I was confused. I don't know. I was like, what the hell is that sound? Children are wonderful. I'm scared of them. They're strange. Such strange creatures. Anyway, here's a button. And, yeah. I mean, there it is, you know. That's it. It doesn't need to do much. I want this to be a little thicker. Yeah. Which also means we need to generate a new collision shape. You don't have to do it this way, but it's helpful, especially when you have more complex shapes. Anyway, here we go. Thick button. And that button needs some kind of signal to fire, doesn't it? So, jeez. Class name, button 3D. Signal selected. Even then, you know, like, can you get what I'm saying though? Because like we have this selected button, and it's got to pass a true or false because you could select it and it like turns to an off setting. I don't want to think about switches and other settings just yet. Okay. Let me think here. We need to have, that's right, a mouse. We need a mouse. We need this, and we need one of those. Excellent. All right. Yeah. Oh, it's technically focus. Focus changed. All right. Focus. No, I'm sorry. Emit. Focus changed. And we're going to pass true or false. False on exit. There we go. And that's all we're going to have for now. As you can see, even having a selection system for this is like you know, again, it's like I have one in cube and I can have one here. Um, let's copy these two lines. There we go. Var is focused. All right. If we are focused, we'll send another signal. Yes, my God. Select changed. Again, we have a value because we want to know what changed. If we are focused, then we say emit signal and select no. Select changed. And it'll be the opposite of whatever is selected is. So we're just gonna first flip the Boolean on this is selected, and then we'll pass whatever the new value is. So here we go. We can make a little test for this button too. I know you're thinking, why test the button? Listen, because eventually it'll break. But if we don't have a test for the button, then we'll be constantly wondering what's broken. And in my experience, this has helped me do a lot faster development. All right, so test button has the test environment. And of course, we must pass in the button itself. Yo, why? Oh, wow, I was passing itself into itself. Yes, never mind. I can understand why you wouldn't want to do that. Having the camera is like... all right. That's probably close enough. What the hell else am I doing? Yeah, we'll have a script that just says, "Hey, Buckaroo, tell me when shit happens." Yeah. So func ready void button 3D should be of type button 3D, and we'll just say handle button focus changed. I also like it because these little test environments kind of show me like how I'm going to need to set up connectivity. Because then you're like, okay, I got to think about every little thing that needs to happen. Button focus, and we'll just pass that value right on in. We'll wash that man right out of our hair. There we go. Select focus. No, I'm changed. Buttons selected. Focus. E. All right. Button 3D. Focus changed. Connect. Handle button focus changed. Same thing again for the selection. Shandle. Yeah, get him in the shandles. That's painful. All right, let's run that test. Wow. Button focused, button unfocused. Why? Okay. Focused, unfocused. Look at that. Fucking selection doesn't work. I thought this would be good. I'll tell you why it's not. Because, look, we forgot to literally have the kind of is focused is true. Goodness gracious. Look at this. I mean, hell, even like is focused as false. Like, I can already see something. You know what I see? I see a function called focus, and it will take a value, and it will return void, and it's going to do this, except it'll be the value. But look at that. We already know. We already can see this functionality will probably be useful. And then here, we're just going to call that function. So again, it's like we can use this internally to make things a little faster, but also we can call it externally. Look at that. Look at that. Button selected true. Now let's try it again. Button selected false. This kind of early ass testing with all these little things, I value it. I think it's worth a try. Like, does it, things look kind of the same as other things, yeah. But now it's like we worked out a few little details. Just one little thing we forgot. And I think of how much of a pain that would have been to connect it and then to find out. And you're like, oh, whoops. Oopsies. I forgot what everything is. You fool. Don't be foolish. Don't be a fool. All right. Funk ready. Yeah, and then it's like, okay, the device will probably oh yeah. Here we go. So we got our button 3D, and we got our select changed, and we're gonna connect the interact function. Interact. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Archie's weird mysteries. And you probably need a value. See, even now, I'm like, oh, this interact function. This is part of why I wanted these interact functions to be at the device level, but also why we're probably not going to inherit. Because one might want an interaction, the other might not, the other might want something else. In fact, we should probably honestly just have a function. Some other function down here called handle. Button selection. Look at that. And then it's like, look, buckaroo, I don't care what it is. Just call the interact function. And this way we can actually control whether or not we pass that in. But look at how beautiful that is. So we got this button gets selected, calls this, which will call this, which actually runs the interaction. Yay. And now when we do to test device, before we were saying run it manually. We don't have to do that anymore because we have our own, we've got our own little button. So, click, no cube in the holder. Whoops. Dude. Modify stream. There's nothing there. But anyway, yeah, look at that. And now if we hit the button again, click, no cube in the holder. There it is. This is like, these are the basics of our game. Our game, comrade. I can't say that. I'm charging people money for this, so I'm a capitalist. My game, saps. It's fine. It's fine to charge people. It doesn't make me a capitalist. It just, I'm selling a product that I'm creating. I have that right. Maybe one day we'll live in that fucking utopian world where money is second to humans. But as for now, humans are second to money. So When people come before profit, we will have peace. Put that on a bumper sticker. I'll fucking protest with that shit. Anyway, holding system. We're good on that. All right, so we've tested our little thing, and now, all right, now let us begin the great and terrifying creation of the selection system. I wish I had like a Rockers Games. Rockers Games has like a reverb, they have some sort of tangible equipment. Because Rockers will just click. You could tell they reach over, they click something, and then it's just like selection system. Did that get my real mic? Selection system. Yeah, they did. Okay. Yeah, but then they have like is that too much? Selection system. That's like a lot. That is a lot of reverb. We'll turn that down, and the gain. And I don't know what these knobs really do. Selection system. That's better. Yeah, and but this is one button they click, and then they just selection system. You know what? We're gonna save this actually. Alerta. Where am I? Oh yeah. Throat. What the fuck? What is? I don't want to know. I don't. It's fine. It's really fun finding just old stuff, or I don't even know if that was old. I think it was new. Let's think. Icons, materials, references. I'm just gonna say samples. We're gonna have some audio samples actually. So yeah, what better name to name it than to name it this? So it's fine. I've already typed my name into this fucking thing. If you want to find me, I exist. Selection system. Yeah, that's good. All right, so we'll do that, and we'll do another one. That's throat. It's a weird thing to name an audio file. All right. All right, we'll have that. Throat. Yep. All right. Yeah. Give me credit. Okay. So if we have our cube spawner here, I kind of want to see if just it plays. No, actually, I don't want to mess with that first. We need to get the selection system down. So we have the selection system. And within that, we are going to have our cube spawner. We are going to have we have a holding system. And this, no, see, I don't like how this works. I feel like the device should manage the holders. I don't know. Maybe the holding system. If the holding system does this, it would make it a little easier to pass signals and stuff in and out of. Ow. Oh, God, that I just hit my fingernails, like on the tip of my desk. That really hurts. All right, holding system. And what else? You know what actually selection system should have? We should have I wonder if this should be I don't know if I want these to be direct children of. We'll leave it for now. But what we should earnestly, honestly have also is one of these. Wire spawner. We're just gonna add that here. It doesn't exist yet, but it does in our hearts. The holding system. And I wonder if devices should all be separately. Or if that should be... I feel like it probably should. Because it feels like the devices are going to have their own way of like let's say a device has one out, like the microphone will not have an input for it. The mic should not receive audio. It should only emit it. And it feels like the devices, I don't want them so tightly coupled as to follow a certain way of doing things. So for now, I have one device. And it will be called device. Why are you mad? Oh, var. And what do you want? Oh, yes, of course. We need the ever so lovely selector. That would have been a cool thing to record. Selector. Is it the system? Yeah. Sure. And we'll have a class name. Selector. I don't need the fucking. I don't need help. I don't need help making noises and sounds. I can do that all on my own. I'm great at it. All right, here you go. So the selector. I don't think that really needs to be a Node 3D, but I'm keeping it because it feels like it should. Okay. All right. The real question is, what do we have in the selector? If only I drew some kind of illustration. Yes. Current focus. That's pretty good. I think, I don't know if we keep track of current selected. I I'll leave it out, but as a mentor of mine always says, you can make it more complicated later if you want. So this will need. I'm gonna put this over here. Select door. Current current focus. Some kind of node 3D. We'll leave it very vague, just in case. We'll have an input function. Does stuff. I'm sorry, this isn't Rust. What am I doing? Func. And handle focus changed. Again, this is for like mouse interactions. Func refocus. Let's see here. Node. And the current focus will simply be whatever we're focusing on now. Has method. If it has a method called select, then we will do that. The current focus. We'll run that function. You were expecting things. Refocus. Handle focus changed. That's a good one. We should build a moat. Let's see. Node 3D. Refocus. Yeah. Okay. Oh shit. All right. I'm a little lost actually, so we'll see if oh gosh. Boy, I've been working for. It's been an hour since I've been streaming. Okay. Oh, I did pause for a while, I guess. If interact. Yeah, we'll run the select function. Tell you what we're gonna have right now. Isn't there a tab? Let me show all of them. Let me see here. Tab. It's a focus. Yeah. UI focus next, and focus previous. Okay, this is good actually, and I want to keep this. And for the game, I suppose I can create new variables. Yes. All right. And I'll keep them separate from the UI name. Yeah. Actually, I wonder, like, what... I wonder if handle focus change should do something other than refocus. We'll keep it as is. Well, it's gonna be stupid, but and if we're Oops. If we're going backwards, then, you know, refocus, current focus. This has an event, which we're not going to mess with because I like the is just pressed. I don't like the is pressed event. I don't want to fire multiple times. Oh yeah, and the best part is now that we're looking at this, you're going to have some kind of delay so that people don't hit tab and it doesn't like well, this should be fine. We should be expecting it just to happen when it's pressed. But maybe it should be released. Huh. I wonder, on press or on release? That's oh, let's do a little research. On press or release? Yeah. Click. You want to leave focus order alone. I can't stress this enough. Okay. Press. Word press. Suppressed. Pressing. Key pressed. Release? There's nothing for release. All right. We'll just do on press for now. But we might reconsider. And right now, look at this. How sloppy, how horrible. What do I call this? Just items? Sure. Now, if we were using C#, I'd probably have an interface where all these items at least extend or inherit from the interface of like selectable. And that way they can have their own functionality and it can be kind of that whatever thing that is. But yeah, so focus changed. Tell you what was a current focus. You know what? Refocus should have the direction. Nah, screw that. We'll call it next focus. No, we'll say focus next. No. Shift focus. Yeah, that sounds cool. And we won't pass a node. We'll pass a value. Let's just say next. And yeah. So shift focus, handle focus changed. All right. So if it's next, it's true. If it's false, it's and we're just gonna say, hey man, I want you to go through the items and I want you to find the index of the current focus. And then you're just going to iterate and loop around. Index is plus equals 1. Oh, wait, no. Plus equals 1 if next, else negative 1. And then finally, a very important check. If the index equals the item's size, then I want the index to equal 0. If the index is less than 0, then it needs to equal the item's size minus 1. There we go. And then now our new current focus will be whatever this new index is. That's it. That's what shift focus does. Handle focus change is a little trickier. For that, how about instead of shift focus, we have a function called set focus. We should probably put the right keywords in. Focus. IND for index. No. Fuck that. Node for the node. And then we will say, what is this node's index? So again, items dot find. Whoops. Actually, current focus equals node. And we're going to do the same thing. Do we have to? Because all of the shift focus is just to set the current focus. If we're passing a node, then we already technically have what that focus is. We would just need to say whatever the previous focus is. Unfocus current. So if current focus has method, not meta, has method focus, then the current focus shall unfocus. And then again, say old current. All right, current node and yeah, except for handle focus change, this should already have happened, so we don't actually need to do that. Set new current though. I don't care about that. So shift focus, true or false. I wonder, like, should I like? Yeah. Just a little function. And these should be right like this. Because these are internal. And I don't think they should be external. So we've got that. And now we can just say, hey, set the focus. Yeah, set it false. And here, for shift focus, I wonder if these should just... All right, new, whoa. Okay, set focus, true and false. We'll pull you back here. And these will be like... Yeah. Cool. Huh. Oh, wow. Look at that. What the fuck? Wait, what? Oh my god. Okay. There we go. All right. So when focus changes, we unfocus and then refocus anew. And we can call select. Except we want... I wonder... Huh. I wonder if we need this to signal out. I think for selection, yes. We'll just do selection changed for now. Yeah. Whoa, no. Oh. All right, cool. Live. That's beautiful. Okay. False. Cool. So, oh wait. Actually, it's is action just released. So there we go for that, and there we go for that and that. Cool. That feels so much more compact and streamlined. So here's our selector. Our selection system will then have quite the time. All right. We're gonna have to have a handler for this one. Handle select changed. Selector. Select changed. Connect. Handle select changed. Excellent. Way to go. Okay. We will, let's see, let me think here. check what is focused and what is selected. I wonder if I should pass. Probably, yeah, I should probably pass the value. Because current focus can change. Var selection. Now, ooh, actually, that's a good question. Like, no, actually, I think this is fine. All right. Yeah, the wires, because you're going to have to pick up a wire and move it. But same with the cube. And I feel like the spawners should hold what is currently selected. So that if we get a selection, and then in here we say, hey, fuck. Maybe we check each spawner to see what's selected. And if they return something, it's like this item or is held, actually, because wires are cubes. These are things you hold. You like grab. So we'll say, is anything grabbed? And if it is, then whatever we're focusing on, or if we're grabbing something and we make a selection, usually it means to like let go. See, if false, let go or turn off. If true, pick up or turn on. That's like basically what we're checking. So we'll just say if value pass and else pass. There we go. Yeah, and what is focused or selected? Like this function is going to be our big beefer. This is going to handle a lot. And I think that's okay to have one function that does like a lot of work and has some nested statements. Because this is something that's going to fire occasionally, but also it's one of those things where I think it needs, because it needs to interact with a lot of stuff, it should probably talk to a lot. And yeah. Okay. I need to take a break. I might be back or I might call it. I don't know. But I need to take a moment. Spent some time with my cat just now. We both needed it. Let me think here. Yeah, all right. So this selection system, man, this is going to be interesting. All right, so first things first, let's just take a look at our holding system. Yeah, we're not going to hold the cube spawner in here. So let's remove that and remove this. And instead of passing, we're not going to do handle focused like this. We're going to pass a callback, a callable. Let's say focus changed callable. There it is. So now, whenever these items actually have a focus, that is like from the mouse, this holding system, let's see, is going to be... The real question is, let me think here. Handle select changed. Selector has, let me think, it doesn't have a function called handle focus change, yes. Okay. So, let's say connect. Focus changed. That seems more obvious than I would think. But holding system setup, and we're gonna pass in selector handle focus changed. Now let's see here. The holding system, whenever it does focus changed, a cube holder on focus changed. Yeah, it passes itself and a value, which is good. Which is probably what the selector should handle. We handle node. Yeah, we should also handle value, shouldn't we? I wonder. Huh. So, first of all, let's see. If our current focus equals our node, then probably means that it's going to be off. Well, we'll just say set focus value, whatever that value is. Else, oops, then we need to make sure we toggle it off. In fact, set focus. Hold on, let's be careful here. Ooh, shit. Yeah. Okay. It's actually just gonna focus. So if focus is changed, we don't need to do anything. So yeah, in fact, we'll just say if it's not equal to the node, because if it is, there's no reason to call anything. But if not, we'll say, hey, unselect. Let's see. Should already be focused. Let's think here. Yeah, we only want to set the focus for something which hasn't already been focused on. What's your problem? Values never used in handle focus change. Well, fuck. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess if it's a manual focus and the current focus is the same, actually, okay. If current focus equals node, then you know what, we'll just double check. And if value is true, then current no, false. I'm sorry. Value. Whoop. Then current focus equals null. But if it's not the node and the value is true, then set that focus. Because we're really just storing it. We're only turning on focus if we're manually shifting it from the outside. But if the mouse moves over it, then it's already on focus. So I don't know if I really need to check for this. I feel like I should do it just to be safe. I don't know if I need to check the value, that is. Because if it's like new to the focus, then it's like here. In fact, let's say current focus. We'll check this here. Should we actually? Let me think here. Yeah. We'll say if current focus is not null. And it has that focus function. And that way we're not, if we end up not having it. So if this value, it'll be null on the initial thing. So we'll be like, hey, is this this or the whatever? Like we'll set it to null. If this is whatever. Because if current focus, if our focus is false and our current focus is not equal to the node, what are we even doing then actually? Then we're focusing off a node, which is, huh? Oh God. I feel like this is messy. This already looks befuddled. If I guess if something is focused and then the mouse moves over a different element. You know, now that I think about it, what if it's focused? Yeah, because this is only gonna fire if like the mouse moves. So if we have focus on a node and the mouse is true, then nothing changes. If we like current focus equals node and value is true, we shouldn't do anything at all. If the current focus doesn't equal the node, that means something else, and the value's false. That means something else just got unfocused, but like, I don't know if we'd ever encounter that situation. So I don't know. I guess I'm like, yeah, let current focus is null and it says false. Then it's like, cool. Then just like toggle it here internally, the value. If the current focus is not equal to the node, then we're focusing on something new, right? So we say, hey, that current focus, yeah, unfocus it. And of course, it'll check if it's null. Either way, we set our current focus to node, but it should be focused on that element because that is already handled here, right? And hey, lo and behold, oh God, let's see. You remember that other function we had? Focus, value. Here we go. We're going to add it right here. Yeah. So, yeah. Let's see. Value. Oh, shit. All right. Focus is true. All right. I can look at that. Let's look at that button code again. This is pretty good. Yeah. Now we don't need anything for selections. And now I think about it, I'm like, focus. Should we pass? We got to make sure all these focus functions are like the same. I don't know if focus change for the button needs to be passing itself. It's a different one. Yeah, I guess so. If these are all the same, yeah. So, wow, look at that. Cool. And when you emit these signals, pass yourself. Sounds like an insult. Pass yourself. Troglodyte. Pass back. Yeah. Yeah, and this won't have a selection changed. It does have a focus changed. Let's think here. Button. So here's something fun. If we manually set the focus by toggling it, yeah, with like the thing, it's going to call this function, and then it's going to call focus changed. Now the cool thing about this is that when we go back into the selector, we got a focus changed. Because our shift focus already set the current focus, then whenever this gets called, like it'll go here, say set focus, it'll go through, and it'll say, actually, here's a great one to add. If it's not null, and also if the current focus is, no, fuck it. It'll call this focus method, yeah? And it'll say, hey, I'm calling you. Cool. Manually from the outside, from above. Cool. Emit that signal I just changed. And then it'll go back to the selector into here, and it'll say, hey, handle this. Except it passes itself, and it says, hey, are you equal to this? Yeah? Well, is it false? Because if it is... Fuck. If it is... No, wait. If it is... All right, on it. Set focus to false. This gets called. And it'll say, call that. And then it goes, current focus should be null. Cool, cool. If current focus... Huh. I know there's a way I could probably quickly fix this, but I just want to walk through it anyway. And then it'll get to this set focus and says, set it to true. And says, hey, are you not matching? And are you true? Or are you matching? And then you're false. But if this is the current focus, I wonder if it'll do that. Like, what if this runs? Because this runs and it'll call a method that calls a signal that eventually gets handled here. And I'm wondering, does it, once it calls that signal, I wonder, is it going to run this and get here first? Is it like going to set it to null and then set it to this? I'm worried about that. It feels like we have a bit of a race condition going on. So instead of doing that, we're going to move this signal here. Because again, the only reason we want to notify anybody above Y2 of this signal changed is if they don't already know. And that means we've done it manually with the mouse. If we do it from the selector, we're kind of doing it like forcing it from the top down. So we can set focus without it calling back, which is good. We don't want that. We want to be able to toggle this value without getting into some kind of infinite loop. A selection, maybe. Well, we can probably just have a select function. In fact, we will. We'll do that right now. Oops is selected. Obviously, this should be different. Select is selected. So we pass in that new value. And then we say, hey, whatever that was, notify people. And I don't know actually if we want to do that, because if we have something focused, shouldn't our selections only occur in the selector? I mean, what are we really doing? Yeah, it meant selection, select changed, which has a value. Should probably pass this. Yeah. Shit. Okay. This is tricky because some of these interactions are going to be different. Like a button will be something you focus on and then click. But no, actually, yeah. Look, we're doing our best here, yeah. All right, whatever we're selecting is whatever we're focused on. That should be our universal truth. True or false? Yeah. Oh, actually, shit. No. And we're gonna do this on release, actually. And that way we can press a button down, but only... Fuck, no. No, fuck that. No, the opposite. We'll press a... What? Look, I'm trying. All right, we're going... We're doing this as good as we can. Selection changed. Yeah. This will... should we have this here? Maybe not. And the button, we say, no. Yeah, literally no. We'll have a function for select. And we're not going to call it externally. This shit is going to get handled from the top down. Yeah, same for focused, yeah. Same for like all these things. So, ooh, holding system. What do you mean? Weird. Remember, value is never used in this function. Yes, but I don't care. It's because it's an example. All right, so yeah, the holder is fine. The button is fine. We're not gonna select this, so it doesn't actually need that. But like even this one that has select, again, that's something where it's like, look, if we have an input, then that current focus will have a selection change that gets called. Our selection system is going to say gonna pass in a node. Yeah. And fuck. Yeah. Actually, we can get the value from the thing we're selecting. So what we should do fuck. Oh, damn. Should I do like toggle select? Toggle select, you know, does like an actual toggle select is just like, hey man, what happened? Toggle select, we're gonna flip the switch, is selected, and we return whatever that value is of selection. There you go. So toggle select just says toggle it and tell me what it gets. Our selector equals current focus select focus. Return the boolean. No. We'll run all this internally. So here we go. Destroy and select focus. We don't know what that value will be immediately, so we're just going to say our current focus. Well, let's first check. Let's say if current focus has method. I know this is not a great way of doing it, but like it's good to check. Is there an assert actually? Assert, no, how it is, condition and then a message. If it's false, right? Assert that current focus has method. Toggle select. And if it doesn't, just say error. Needs is missing a select. Yeah. There we go. Otherwise, toggle select. And then we say that selected value is what we pass up top. I like doing that actually much better because, again, they should have it. We'll check for null. I think that's valid. But if it isn't null, then we need that focus function. You say, hey, you need to put that in there. Okay? Okay, so cool. Select, change, selected. And then when we pass that up here, we will pass the value after all. Value. Bool. And our selection system. We probably don't even need to do this, but because we could just get the current focus from the selector. You get so much. Yeah, handle focus changed. I've already changed so much. I feel lost. I feel confused. All right, node and value. And in our holder value. And our button. We're gonna button and value. Toggle select. Cube is where things get fun. Like this. I don't know if we'll keep that. This should definitely have some kind of signal. Focus changed. There we go. This would also have like a toggle select. Except this one's going to be very different. If is grabbed. No, fuck it. We don't. This is complicated. We will say. First of all, is grabbed. Is going to get toggled. It's going to flip whatever it is, and we're going to. We're going to return the new is grabbed value. In between there, we'll probably have to do some stuff. I like moving various other values and shit. So, yeah, like interact and is focused, right? Like this. All of our inputs so far are handled here. And now we need to be like, hey, interact. We'll call it interact, and we'll have a value, and that value will just be true or false. So if value elif. What was the other exception? Oh yeah, if is grabbed. All right, we're just gonna say else. We don't want to fuck with that. We shouldn't have to. Yeah, so interact is grabbed. It's not really input reading, is it? It is an internal function, though. Oh, hello. On mouse entered. What's the... Yeah, focus changed. No, not just you. I need you to pass a cube. On your ass. I wonder if I should do the raycast thing in another function. Maybe. We'll keep it in here for now. It's fine. On mouse exit. Oh yeah. Okay, so he's focused. We will emit the signal. Focus changed. Pass the self is focused. Make sure we say true manually. Same deal for here. Except it's false. Flowers. False. Okay. This is... No, I'm probably going to break some stuff. I'm just letting you know. But that's okay. I don't know if I have like the energy to test all of this stuff, which is great. Great to write code and walk away because you might forget it. I'm just trying to communicate what I can work with, though. And today, I feel like I don't want to do too much. Probably could. I don't want to wear myself out, though. Yeah. Where's this still used? Yeah, for the physics process. It's the only place it's used. Okay. I wonder how much this needs to be in here. I wonder if this could be like external, or something. Maybe. No, it can't be static. It needs to be, I think, part of the scene. So, actually, we might just keep it here. Yeah, because this is literally just used for, what are we using it for? Literally moving it around, so. Yeah, just one use. All right. Okay. Yeah, hover holder should still be fine. Holding system. The spawner. Now that one. Cube is sending out a focus change signal. Okay. So whenever we have our cube spawner, I wonder if I wonder if this needs to be. We'll keep it as is. We need to store a callback. The focus changed callable. And then we'll have a setup function. And we'll call it a callback. Actually, we'll call it the callback here. Even though it's a call, it's the same thing. Callable. Um, yeah, what was a callback? All right. La-di-da. Look at that. Huzzah. And whenever we actually have a cube and we add it, I think we can connect it here. Yes. All right, cool. So anytime we spawn, we can actually pass that function in. Holding system, no selection system. So we have our cube spawner setup, selector, and a focus changed. Yeah. What else do we need to handle? The device, yeah. Device, button? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's kind of sloppy, isn't it? Or maybe we should have a setup function for this too. Oh, yes, we should. Handle button selection, interact. That's if it's selected. Yes, 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 yes. But what if I were to pass fast food items and replace them with my own cooking? It's fucking evil, Seymour. Focus changed. Callable. Alrighty. And the button. Focus changed. Connect to the focus changed callable. Cool. We'll do that in the setup function. And of course, when we do selection, we'll still do that there. Which is funny because if we use select line toggle selected. Ooh. Ooh. The selector will say, do that, get the value, and then call it. And then the selection system will say, what are you? And we'll have to handle it one way or another. That'll be its own hellish nightmare. Yeah. But for now, setup. We can do that. Handle focus changed also. So, connect signals. Device. No, actually, no. Yeah, this is unique, and there should be probably just one for the selector. Yeah. We got the holding system, the cube spawner, we got the device, we got the selector. Okay. Great. I forgot the most important thing. Selection system. Yeah. Okay, we've got everything named. Why is that green? I don't like that. It's probably angry at me or something stupid. Anyway, yeah. I don't know if I want to connect these all like this. This one's gonna be interesting because I have to break down the device. Who knows? Maybe they'll all belong in here. I feel like these will have to get added externally though. So for now, let's say goodbye to our little friends. And yeah. Okay, let's see here. Did we connect these subsystems? Okay, yeah. Interpret selection changed. We're not doing that yet. Parent node, yeah. Connections are handled at this level, yes. Keeps track of focusing and selecting. Actually, these are. Let me think here. Selector keeps track of focusing and selecting. That's true. Must work. Yeah. Yeah. Emit selection change signal. Yes. Cube and wire passes focus chain. Moved its respective item. We haven't done that with a wire yet. Devices. We don't have ports. We have an interactable and we have an holder. So yeah. Anyway, I'll add one more thing. So for interaction right now we have left mouse button, but I also want to make sure we add the controller. Should it be B for X? Oh shit. Is it supposed to be B for Xbox? Xbox accept. I was gonna say button layout. Yeah. I was like, there's different ways of doing this, but because that's the kind of controller I have just at my computer. Oh, TLOH. Okay. Yeah, jump, crouch. Feels like A is usually accept. And actually, I thought about this. I was wondering if I should use. There's actually a library, isn't there, for. Well, here for today, let's just say it's A, because that's what makes sense to me. And then for next, we'll just do. Yeah, trigger. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I don't know. I guess I could do. Yeah, we'll do trigger. Actually, I wonder if I should do it with the D-pad instead. Might be better. Okay. Anyway, I'm just adding that in for now. Oh, like I said, I'm not gonna do a lot. There's more work to be done, but I think this is worth it. I think all this stuff is worth it. So yeah. Man, why is the browser audio not connected? I hate that this thing is just. It's so weird how this works. Oh, there it is. Okay. Whatever. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of tapped out, so I'm gonna call it. Not. This is a bit of a brief stream, but this is what I can manage today. And next time we'll just try to do some testing and probably some getting all those selection pathways to work. I know it seems tedious, but it's like the tedium is going to exist somewhere. I'd rather it exist in one place. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe there's a different pattern that'll help with this, but if you have anything, suggest it, please, in the comments of this video or somewhere. I'd greatly appreciate that. I'm still new. A lot of this stuff is self-taught, and that tends to be how it goes with game dev. But I still think it's important because there's probably still valuable information to be passed on. And that's part of why I do these videos anyway, so I can try to, I don't know, if somebody else is going to watch, like they're not, it's all raw, so it's not always helpful, but I don't know. I think at the end of the day, as long as like we keep communicating, it might be helpful to somebody, in some way. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm the Triangle. Don't forget to try something new.